Terima kasih.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chu, for the start. Now just to check, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. We have 23 of us in the hall. Hi to everyone. I understand this is not a familiar platform for all, but just to introduce to everyone, this is actually the platform that we use for classes, for webinars, for meetings, especially so for the past 18 months since we went into lockdown. So I'm Doria. A lot of you here are my teachers, formerly my teachers. We don't follow the protocol lah. It's just a sharing session because I may have a PhD, but then it's you guys who have the cumulative experience of teaching. So I should be learning from you instead of you learning from me. So this is a sharing session. I'm going to use English as my medium of instruction. I don't mind you switching off my the camera throughout the session. That is what my students do also, but I will once in a while prompt you for a response. So if you are new to this platform, at the bottom of the screen, there's this mute button. So you can click on the button to unmute and then ask questions throughout the session. The next button is video. So if you choose not to switch on your video, just click on the button and stop video. The third button is a sharing button. So basically any presentation slides that I will use, I will share it through that section. The next button is a record button. Record button is for host, myself, to record the whole session. So as I mentioned to Madam Chu earlier, this session is recorded. So if you think that I go too fast, don't worry. You can either stop me midway or you can go back to the video and have a look at how we should do things. Just one thing, do not click the red button. Do not click the red button. That means you're going out of the meeting hall. So that's the introduction for the platform. I wouldn't recommend you to purchase it as a school because it's expensive. Google Meet is good enough for your use. Zoom is another good function. In fact, a lot of I prefer Zoom rather than WebEx, but a lot of companies use WebEx. Actually, it's more secure in terms of your meetings, your information. But Zoom is a very common platform use. Another platform use is Microsoft Teams. Not a favorite because there's a lot of functions that you need to adjust. So those are some of the tools used for online classes, webinars, meeting, and so on. Now, again, as I mentioned, this is a sharing session. I should learn from you guys actually. But so I'm going to try a very different approach for this session. Normally, a speaker will come into your session to you either physically or now online and show you a set of slides, and then you listen to the speaker talking and you absorb information. So it's a one-way process. What I want to try to do today is actually to, number one, acknowledge your prior knowledge because we are all adults. Adults learn a different way. So it's what we call, let me type in the chat box, andragogy. andragogy is the science and arts of teaching adults. So when you have a class of people who are adults, working professionals, housewives, businessmen, there's a slightly different way of teaching. You can't give the information straight to them. They most of the time you need to relate it back to what you're currently doing before you actually understand. So my approach today is actually a very live approach where I will pick one subject for from six. Thank you to Madam Chu for giving me the syllabus listing. So I pick a syllabus and then we'll discuss flip classroom based on that particular syllabus. Now, another thing about teaching adults is if you are doing part-time studies physically in UTM, Space has this part-time program where you come to class every other weekend to finish your degree. The class can go 8 hours straight, but online not advised to do that because your concentration online is very little as compared to your concentration in the classroom. Kalau kat dalam classroom, you can float a bit, you can talk to your friends, you can pretend that you're listening when you're in front of your instructor, but you are still there. You are physically present. Online is a different matter altogether. I told this to my students all the time. Our class might be 2 hours, but I will only do 1 hour with you. The rest of the 1 hour, we try fun work. Or the rest of the hour, I open up another session. If you have any questions, you come and talk to me. So we'll chat, we'll do discussion. They will ask very cheeky questions like, what's in it for the assignment next week? What kind of test do we have? So I split the learning up so that the first hour, for example, I will teach what I need to teach. I have to deliver what I need to deliver in terms of content, in terms of the intended learning outcomes. And then the next hour, I will get the students to do their own work, but guided. So one thing about online learning is that 2 hours class doesn't mean you need to transfer 2 hours online completely. It's tiring both for the students and for you. If you and then especially if you're talking to a screen where all the screen is blank, tak nampak gambar, so it's even more stressful. Because I think Cikgu Alice, please mute your camera. I mean your video, your audio. Okay. Now again, if you have any questions, just stop me and then ask your questions. Yeah. So lesson 1 online. You don't have to complete the full hours of teaching. It's sufficient probably if you identify the core knowledge that you need to pass to and get the students to work on their own for the rest of the time. This is very useful for Form 6 actually, because this is when we the students will learn how to adjust to a university life, right? So before we start, let us go to try something different. Let me share my slide and my screen first. All right. You should be able to see a Google Chrome page. So now what I want you to do is to go to slido.com, slido.com. There's a space where you need to put in the number. So you put in 875799. Alternatively, if you're an iPhone user, please direct your camera to the QR code and click on the link. Or if you're an Android user, there's this Google Lens that you need to use app. Direct your camera and then it will bring you to the link and answer the question on this particular question. So this is a warm-up session. So I just want to know where you are in terms of knowledge. This is also something that you can play with your students as well. Before the class, probably you can ask them, okay, how much do you know about this particular knowledge? So 50% says, okay, how many people? 4 people are answering. So we'll give some time for everyone to answer. So how many of us are in the room at the moment? So we have 25 minus 1, 24. So by 20, see, if you have any issues accessing the page, let me know. So one interesting thing about this page is that you can see live in front of you the results as the students are clicking in their responses. Okay, so we'll wait for a while. Okay, while waiting for everyone to answer, again, the linking instructions are here. The second thing about doing class online that I figured out, try and error lah, for the past one plus year, is when you have this kind of activity, everyone, no matter how young or how young at heart you are, will have you have to need different time to process the activity. So for example, the people who are more familiar with this platform, Slido, they might understand, okay, this is how we need to do this activity. But for some, this platform might be new, so not familiar with the platform, need some time to figure out how to log in. So don't be afraid of silence. You just give your students time to get it done, and you can review the results as go through your class. Now we have 9 people responding so far. Now it's 10. So in general, what can you see from this particular slide? I mean the screen. Seven of you, wait, 40%, sorry, of you are knowledgeable to an extent. 30%, okay, now it's 27, at 1, meaning it's a very new concept to you. So if we look at the percentage, I would say that a lot of this particular concept is either very new to you, or you hear about it, but then you are not aware of how it works. So I'm going to stop the poll for now. You can answer as we go on. The poll won't be stopped because you can continue to answer the question throughout. So the Slido link is slido.com, and then the number is 875 875. Wait, Madam Chu, can you type in the Slido number? 875 799, slido.com, in the chat function. I'll go on with the next part of the survey lah. So it's slido.com, and then 875. Okay. So if you just come in, go to the link and answer the question. It's a warm up. You can ask many different questions. Slido as a application. There's a lot of different features that you can add on. You can ask as simple as how are you doing, or what's for breakfast, what's for lunch, or on a scale of 1 to 10, how healthy you are today. So those are the warm up items that you can do at the start of the class, so that students will start getting excited about coming into class and continue study online. So it is really tiring for online class. That's lesson number 3. I think you also know by now. So that's why it's even more important for us to pace our teaching. So again, the lazy way is kalau 1 jam, 2 jam punya kelas, mungkin pecahkan lah 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and then the rest you just let the students do their work, because there are certain things that we as educators have to make sure at the end, regardless of whether the class is done online ataupun dalam kelas. So let me share next item. Where am I? Okay, the next item that I want to share is actually this folder. This is lesson number 4 of doing things online. What I really like about doing classes online is that I can prepare my materials beforehand. So I'm going to share this link into the chat function. Where is the chat function? Okay. I think it's the same for Google Meet as well. There's a chat function. So this is the folder of resources and materials that I use for the purpose of this lesson, this sharing session. So it's available for you to download. Open access. I believe in open access. Things should be accessed for free. And you can go through the materials of this session through this folder. So other than giving the recording to Madam Chu later, I will also put the video once available in this folder, so that at the end you can refer to this folder to remind you of what we have learned today. So again, this is also very useful for adult learners. You need to anchor your learning to a certain direction. So it's as simple as organizing your materials into a folder and making sure that your students or your learners know where to access. So I do this in class as well. For my students, I teach philosophy of education, subject that nobody wants to teach at faculty because it requires a lot of questions and answers. So what I did in class is I tell my students point blank, I know you're there, but you may not be there. You might be opening up your Google Meet or WebEx and just leave it there, do something else. We all do that during meetings as well. So, but at the end, the one thing that you need to come back and refer to is a folder or an e-learning page or a Google site page or any way that you use to organize learning for your students. So let's say you have a few such students around who don't know what's going on in class. So always direct them to come back to a source. In this case, probably a folder, and let them check out the resources, the information, or the learning task that you need to do, right? I've been talking for, I think, 15, 20 minutes. Let me stop for a while and ask this question that I shouldn't ask. Any questions? Any pertanyaan tak before we move on?
Tak ada.
Tak ada. Okay, good. Hi, Cikgu To. Lama tak jumpa.
Apa khabar?
Too much work liao.
Okay.
So that's another trick for online learning also. Let's say you have a 2-hour class. You can schedule your own break. You can tell your students, okay, let's say we have gone through 30 minutes of class. Just tell the students, okay, we go for a 5-minute break. Go get your drink, go get your snacks, go get your lunch, sit in front of a laptop, and then after 5 minutes, we come back and learn. So it is kind of like what we do in the physical classroom. If we want to go washroom, we just go out. So the same can be done for online. And in fact, those kind of little breaks that you put in between might be helpful for the students in case they feel really tired. There are multiple classes that that's that. Now let's continue. Wait. Okay. Now, before this session, I have actually asked Madam Chu to share a set of documents. This is the document that that was shared with Madam Chu. Sorry for the timing. I didn't change. Now, this document outlines what to do before today's session. So, and the instruction that that was given before we enter the session. So before the session, there's a PDF file to read, and then I ask you to pick up 3 techniques that you would like to try in the classroom, and then put your response here. Again, I didn't change the link here, so this is an old link. I also put in instruction, like how to put in. Lesson number 6 of online learning is don't assume that your students know how to do it. I had a shock of my life when I found out that my students don't know how to use Google Slides. So there was a task that I gave to them, asked them to do a set of slides together as a class for a topic. Suddenly at night, somebody messaged me, Doctor, how to add slides. Then I realized that the students, 19 years old, 18 years old, we thought they knew how to use all these platforms, but no, they don't. So lesson number 6, don't assume everyone knows how to use certain platforms. So what I did is I put in a sample, screenshot, and then some instructions. Once done, click publish, and this is the result. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14 responses here. So there's a different techniques that you pick. For example, Cikgu Jane, hi Cikgu Jane, think, pair, share, pass the chalk. Why do you think that? Okay, so these are the technique. Cikgu Yi, hi Cikgu Yi. Two truths and a lie. Line up, answer any three. Cikgu He, if you're around, hi. Then there are three methods: harvesting, course-related, self-confidence survey, memory metrics. So as you can see from this platform, this is another platform to use. Just now I introduced Slido. This one I introduced Padlet. So now this is the answers from, imagine if you're in the class, this is your students' responses. So in one, there's one, two unknown people here. Tak tulis nama, so I don't know who answers it. I think if you do it, it will be the same in your classroom. So at one glance, you are able to see your students, what do they like, what do they understand about the topic. Ada tiga lah. Okay, there are three of them. So Madam Chu, for example, picture prompt, why do you think that instructor storytelling? I can actually stop my class, my lesson now, because I've essentially introduced the concept of flipped classroom to everyone. This is flipped classroom. So flipped classroom essentially is step one, you prepare a set of things to do for your students before the class. Step two, you pass the materials to your students and give them a timeline, as in before the class start, let's finish this. Step three, when you come to class, you start your session by looking back at what your students did. So that's where the Padlet comes in just now. So and then you do discussion. You point out things. For example, Cikgu Janet used this method, Cikgu Chu used this method. And then you do discussion based on the answers. So that is flipped classroom. Madam Chu, I think you can stop already the lesson. So,
I'm learning.
so that's flipped classroom. It sounds very canggih and all, but it's not. It's still the same thing that we do in the physical classroom, except that it's online. So flipped classroom essentially means you want your students to either get familiar with the content or try on the content first without them understanding what the content is about. This applies to Cikgu He punya subject code, mathematics. For example, you just give a question, go and find the answer first. So students might, Form 6 students lah kan, they might go and find sample steps to copy and do, but they do not understand why is that so. So when you come to class, you explain the technique, for example. Sorry, Cikgu He, I will always use you as an example for this session.
Thank you.
So and then your class time is actually the time for you to reinforce understanding, to correct misconception. For example, Madam Chu punya chemistry subject. You can give a set of statements about atoms, molecules, the wrong statements and the right statements mixed together. So the students can pick, okay, this is correct, this is not correct, this is correct, before the class. So when you come to class, you go and check the students' responses, and you ask the students, okay, why do you give this answer, or what makes you decide on this answer? So that's the method, right? Why do you think that? There you go. And then you correct conceptions, you explain the concept, and probably you get them to think, okay, if I give you this fact, how can you make it better, for example? And then in class, you also use your class time to probably do more explanation on practical problems. For example, how do you calculate moles? This is still chemistry. I still remember my chemistry background. Or how do you convert from one unit to another unit? In terms of chemistry and mathematics, I think applies to both subjects. And at the same time, in the classroom itself, you might want to have more in-depth discussion. For example, this example applies to subjects like economics, like accounting, where you can pick up an actual issue and then you start discussion in classroom. And then by the end of the classroom, it's the normal process. You either test their knowledge, or you give them homework to do, or you do recap of what you have learned and what you have done. Remember, when you do your recap, you have to start from the task that they do themselves. So before the class, this is what I asked you to do. So from this task, we learn about certain things, and then in this class, we get to learn more about certain items. And then what I want you to do after the class is this. So now when you do flipped classroom, you are actually releasing your expertise. You are not the expert anymore. You are just the facilitator. In this sense, your pelajar kena belajar sendiri dulu. Try it out, think about it, and then they have to let you know whether they are doing the right thing, or what are the problems that they might have. And then you as a facilitator, you guide them. You direct them to the right information. You direct them to the right examples for them to understand it better. So that is essentially flipped classroom. It's not rocket science, actually. So I can give you an example. Hold on, now let me open my one example. Okay. So this is actually an award-winning example. Number 3 only lah. In our my school organizes this event called Future Ready Educators. So my team joined in to introduce active learning in the classroom. This is one of the winning examples. So yeah, number 3 only. So what I ask my students to do is before they come to class, pergi cari komik in any language that they want, English or Bahasa Malaysia. And then, but the comic has to be about education, because I want them to think about issues on education. So mereka pergi cari komik. So this is the fun time. But when they put in their comic on the Padlet page, they need to explain to me what kind of education issue that is highlighted in the comic. So and then when class started, I spent like 30 to 45 minutes just talking to them, and I covered my syllabus about education already. So one example is, so at one glance, this comic is about 2 sets of squares and 3 circles. So the square says you're going to have to change to fit into the system. I think this is a familiar subject for all of us. In education, we have a fixed way of doing things. But the round fellows are saying, "Oh, how about you change the system so we can all fit?" So let's see what the student has to say. Okay, so this is the student's response. Komik ini mengisahkan tentang 4 orang pekerja yang sedang berbincang tentang kesesuaian kita terhadap sistem yang telah ditetapkan. These are first year students, yeah. So they are not second, third year, fourth year, very mature students. These are students who just come into the system for degree. So berdasarkan komik ini, kita dapat lihat bahawa sistem ini hanya memilih bentuk dan juga warna yang sesuai supaya pekerja tersebut dapat selesa. dengan sistem yang ditetapkan, akan tetapi salah satu pekerja telah menyuarakan pendapat iaitu daripada kita perlu mengikut ketetapan sistem, lebih baik sistem diubah supaya semua dapat menyesuaikan diri. Very interesting concept, right? So this is where I can come in and say, look, we can talk about inclusivity in education. Are you sure that education is for all? Coming back to former minister Dr. Mazli's concept of everyone has a chance to come into school. So this is another one, interesting one. So it's a process: elementary school, middle school, high school, college. I think I better give you the link so you can read it on your own. So wait, let me link. Okay, the link is in the chat box, so you can have a look at it yourself. I give everyone 5 marks for this. 5 marks is actually the full marks for the assignment. So again, you can tie your task to a certain score to make it a bit more fun. So that's what I did also for this one. So have a look at it. There's a lot of examples given. This is section 3. Yeah. I prefer section 1. Section 1 people found a lot of different comics as well. Wait, mana section 1 this one? Section 1 people are more pragmatic people. They find examples based on what they need to do. Section 1 people are chemistry people. Section 3 people, the one just now, is, you can see from this title, 01 means section 1, 03 means section 3. Section 1 people are chemistry people. They will be trained to be, they are trained to be chemistry teachers. Section 3, mathematics teacher. So chemistry people, very practical. This is, I think, blood sugar, blood and oxygen flowing into the system. To look at it yourself, it's very entertaining, but at the same time, I also hit my learning objective of the class, talking about issues on education, at the very least for the Malaysia context. So have fun reading, have fun, get distracted. And my students like the activity very much because number one, they never thought that comics can be used as a learning material. And number two, if used well, comics actually portrays message faster than you giving lecture in class. So that's something that some of them want to explore, especially the chemistry group, because they found a lot of very interesting chemistry comics that explain certain things for chemistry, for example, right? So now that's my class example. What example should I give? Now, okay. Now this is where I want to start talking about our actual topic, flipped classroom, in the general sense. Now, if you look at the concept of flipped classroom, it's almost the same as if we're doing things in the actual classroom. So this, see how lazy I am, tak buat slide pun. It's just find a website and then show it to you. So a flipped classroom is a type of blended learning where students are introduced to content at home and practice working through it at school. This is the reverse of the more common practice of introducing new content at school, then assigning homework and projects to be completed by students independently at home. So what I did for this session is before the session, I give you a set of PDF, 200 plus of techniques on how to teach, how to get the students engaged in the classroom. So, and then I get you to pick up what are the techniques that you want to try. If this is an actual class, when you will come to my class, I will probably ask you to start doing some examples. So if you want to do instructor storytelling, for example, I might ask you to, for example, pick up a topic, what kind of story that you want to tell, and then what are the steps that you want to do to tell the story. Probably you want to find some information first, put it together into a story, and then probably do some videos, some pictures, and then you tell your story. So in class, it's detailing out what you want to do inside the classroom. And then after class, some homework to do. So you can try it as well, regardless of any subject. There's this question that I understand was asked, I think when I took flipped classroom session before. Adakah cara flip classroom ni sesuai digunakan bagi subjek-subjek yang bukan sains? Not really. For both science and non-science subject can use flipped classroom. It's just a matter of redesigning your content. So I have to start by highlighting this part, the disadvantages. There's a lot of work that you need to do before the actual class, because you have to prepare. You have to design your class. You have to prepare. You have to think in advance what to do for the students. What are the learning objectives? And some students might not like it, because if you have a group of students who like to talk in class, who like to do presentation in class, I have a group of students who do that. They don't like this kind of technique. But this flipped classroom technique is good for the quiet ones, the kind that want like to get ready in advance, know what kind of materials that they want to learn, what to read, and then they come to class. So banyak kerja, especially for the instructor. But this flipped classroom method is actually a method that gets students to understand that, okay, how you have to direct your own learning. So in 21st century education skills, I think one of it is personalization of learning. So you find your way how to design content that you want to learn. At the same time, self-directed learning, meaning to say it is motivated by the self. You are driven to learn. So and flipped classroom, another advantage is actually let's think about some students that we have in the classroom. So some of them might be able to have Unify at home. Some of them might use data package. Some of them might need to tumpang rumah somebody, a relative or a friend, to study. So we have to think about all these things when we design our class. So if we give all the materials that we use in class beforehand, it will help the students who use data package and those who tumpang rumah kawan or relatives. Because if let's say in your live class they cannot attend, at the very least they can start doing work offline. All right. So okay. Now don't worry about this link. It's available in the folder at the resources page. So I have listed down a set of things to look at for you after this class. It's not covering flipped classroom only, but it's also advanced learning materials on online learning. So go have fun. There's a lot of things in this page. Not to say that I promote UTM, but when we go online last year, had quite an easy journey to go online because we have done it a lot before the pandemic itself. In terms of people to refer to, there are two people that I want to recommend. Number one, this is Unimas. The first person is Mr. Chua Kiman. He is an instructor in Unimas, taking his PhD at the moment. A lot of more than 15 years of experience using technology in the classroom, including e-learning and so on and so forth. I like his style of presentation. He explained things very clearly. I learned from him. Another person, I met him before, very passionate guy, Prof. Abdul Karim alias. He's a director for Center of Academic Excellence, USM. He also introduces a lot of things like how to get students engaged in online classroom, how to design assessment online, how to get students to ask questions, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's that. Let me stop for the second round and ask any questions. So in the first part, I do a bit of warm-up exercise. In the second part, I use what is flipped classroom only in 5 minutes. Anything to ask?
I don't think so. I think they are enjoying your sharing.
It takes a while actually. Kena biasakan diri lah. Nothing comes easy lah. But one thing that I can highlight here is that once you get it, you come to enjoy it because you can be a lazy lecturer or lazy educator. So for my class, one semester, 14 weeks, for philosophy of education, I tell my students at class number 1, you only have to come to my live class 7 times in this semester. 7 times. The other 7 times, you don't have to come to class. Why? Because I alternate the learning. So week 1, you come to class live like this. Week 2, you don't have class, but I will give you things to do. So week 3 ada class, week 4 tak ada class. So the reason being philosophy is something that I teach, but at the same time, you also have to put in commitment to read. But I will give you guidance to do your task. So students are happy, of course. Tak ada class minggu ni, so happy because 2 hours free per class per week. Tiba-tiba no class for the week. But then they realize the importance of it. Number one, then they have the time to catch up on material. Let's say, for example, in week 1, I teach this concept. They might think that it's too fast for them. So week 2, I give activities that reinforce learning for week 1 topics. At the same time, I also give tasks that are slightly more difficult so that they have to put in the effort. I won't give you like free marks one. So that's what we call zone of proximal development, ZPD. So zone of proximal development, it means that students have to be comfortable enough to do the task, but at the same time, the things that they do is challenging enough so that they realize, okay, I need to learn a little bit more. So I need to do more research on it. So that's what we call, let me type in chat box, ZPD, zone of proximal development. Even for Form 6 students, we also need to think about ZPD. so that they don't get relaxed lah. I listen to the teacher cukup lah. But no, you listen at the same time. You also have to do your own directed learning, right? So I still have 25 participants. Good, meaning to say some of you are not lost yet. So that's that. Okay, now let's do a warm up exercise. Okay. Okay, the same platform, slido.com, and then the same words, 875,799. So the question is, using one word, how would you describe flipped classroom? So just type your response and then click send. Oh, 875,799. Okay, thank you. Practical, turn around.
One response only for each.
It's up to your interpretation, because again, I cannot give you the same definition. There's a lot of subjects in this class, in this group. So it depends on how you want to do it. Actually, it can also be, for example, if I want to get them to understand the concept of benzene, again chemistry. So I can give a set of questions before the class starts, get them to find the answer, and then in the class itself, go and assess whether how many questions that they can get right. In the class, explain the concept, and then at the end of the class, we do the same questions again. So in this way, you can compare before class, after class, how much should they improve. So kalau quiz tu sebelum class, they score 3 marks out of 10. And then after class, they score 7 marks out of 10. It means that there's a certain improvement in terms of their knowledge. So practical is a very big word among the 8 people. Self-directed is also a very big word. Yes, I have successfully teach everyone how to be a lazy educator. Okay, so continue on answering the question. The poll is still active. So let's go through the next section. The next section is more practical, actually. Let me go back to the page. Okay, this is the part where I might dig my own grave by giving this example because I never tried it before. But let's try. So I have picked up subject 900 pengajian am. May I know who is teaching this subject? Is Cikgu Karina still teaching this subject?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this is a random search of subjects actually. Now from that syllabus itself, I picked up one topic, Malaysia Maju dan Sejahtera, and this is a Penggal Dua topic. So there are three components of this. Again, if you want to refer to this document on your own laptop, go to the folder and then click on document 4.2, live document edit. So there are 3 components. Component 1, petunjuk negara maju. Component 2, ideologi, wawasan dan dasar pembangunan negara. Component 3, cabaran dan penyelesaian. The students go and do kerja khusus. So this waktu refers to jam, right, Madam Chu?
40 minutes. 40 minutes. Yeah, the tempat.
Okay. Okay, so let's say waktu refers to the number of classes and to complete one pecahan. So 24 for the first component, 30 for the second component, 43 for the third component. So not familiar with the STPM format, but I would assume that if cabaran dan penyelesaian for Malaysia Maju dan Sejahtera takes up 43 classroom sessions, it means that this is the more important topic. It also means that students are expected to be able to review current issues for Malaysia with regard to agama, ekonomi, politik, prasarana, sosial, dan budaya, ekologi, sains dan teknologi, integrasi dan perpaduan. So the second item that is very heavy is this one. 30 waktu for ideologi, wawasan dan dasar pembangunan negara. So I would assume that for this particular component, the students have to do a lot of reading and a lot of memorization. What is dasar ekonomi, what is dasar sosial, what is rukun negara. It's not just the 5 statements. I think Professor Ulung Samsul, I think he highlighted that you need to also look at the paragraphs before the 5 rukun negara. Wawasan 2020, probably need to add on another item, wawasan kemakmuran bersama, because this is the 20 dasar. There's a statement in your syllabus that says the current policies should also be looked at together with other components that was highlighted in the syllabus. So the third component only takes 24 learning sessions, I assume, is petunjuk negara maju dan sejahtera. So in terms of self-directed learning, if I would get the students to actually go and do more flip in this topic. It can be probably convert into a kerja khusus, for example, or okay, if I were to do it flip style, I will get them to probably look at go and do research online and find a number of indicators that that represent what is negara maju, what is negara sejahtera, because the students have to understand how to explain what negara maju is, what is sejahtera in terms of negara, and then what are the indicators that is used to show that you are very advanced in terms of science and technology. You are very good in terms of preservation of flora and fauna. Cultural indicators, for example, UNESCO heritage list. So, and then prasarana, probably from the annual budget itself, how many percent of the budget is actually allocated to infrastructure development. Politics, economy, there are some economic indicators that can be used. Agama, as well as agama dan kepercayaan. So if I were to do flip for this topic, probably before the topic, pergi cari the indicators online, list down the indicators. They can do it in individual setting or in group setting. And then when we come to class, either physical or online, you present the indicators. So probably this group, okay, what do you find? So some might use competitiveness index, global competitiveness index. Some might use global happiness index. There is an index on that. Some might use other indexes as well. So there's no right or wrong answer, because at the end of the day, we come back to this. There's a learning outcome. The hasil pembelajaran is calon seharusnya dapat menjelaskan kepentingan membina negara maju dan sejahtera, menjelaskan petunjuk negara maju, menghuraikan langkah bagi membina negara maju dan sejahtera. So it all starts, okay, let me copy this and go to insert, break, page break. Okay, lesson number 8 of learning online. We can actually use documents like this, Google document, for example. Make the class more engaged in terms of actual activity done on class. So let me copy this into the chat function. So you can go to the link and click on the link, or in the folder, document 4.2. So now let's select this particular topic as our flipped classroom topic. Hello, anonymous leopard. Okay. So probably before so the steps of doing flipped classroom. Number 1, identify learning objective and topic for the lesson. Okay, number 2, design, identify core content for delivery in the classroom, or not in the classroom, during the session, during the learning session. And then step 3, design activity for to be done before the learning session. Number 4, distribute activity to students. Number 5, at the start of the activity done, and then deliver core content in the session, and then assessment. So it's either formative or summative, or if you want to do strengthen student understanding. So these are the steps that you can use for flipped classroom. Okay, the words are quite small, so so learning objective sudah ada dari syllabus. So we just use this one. Identify core content for delivery during the learning session. So probably for us, we might want to highlight what is important for Malaysia. For example, or what does negara maju and sejahtera mean for Malaysia. Okay. So wait, let me do it slowly, one by one. Okay, probably we use these three as the learning objective. Okay. Yeah. Okay, design activity to be done before the learning session. Probably search online. Okay, probably form groups for. Then appoint a leader in the group. Search for indicators that would represent negara maju dan sejahtera. So we don't leave the students like that, ask them to search without telling them some examples, right? So we might tell them, for example, go and search global competitiveness index. Dia ada 12 pillar, so there's a lot of to talk about already. But does it fit Malaysia context? That's another question that we can do discussion in the classroom. The other one is global happiness index. And so on and so forth. And then distribute activities to students. Okay, this is where I need to stop sharing kejap. And I show you actual example of how I did it. Okay, weekly lesson plan compilation. Okay, so lesson number 8 for online learning. You will get lost if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. So I noticed this is my students' problem. No, regardless of whether they are first-year students or part-time students, I have taught part-time students before. So tak kisahlah you kat umur berapa pun, you akan sesat juga when you do learning online. So what I did is this table. I will share this table at the end of the session, so don't worry. So what I did is I will highlight, okay, this is the lesson plan for this date. This is the learning objective. By the end, for example, okay, this is first week, so not relevant. Okay, this one. By the end of the week, students should be able to, the hasil pembelajaran lah, I highlight to them. So, and I teach the students how to read my file. So this is my learning plan to them. So these are the things that at the end of the learning session for the week, you have to capai. So for this week, for example, 21st to 27th of March, there are 3 learning objectives. Number 1, identify origins and key components or elements of philosophy. Number 2, outline importance of learning of philosophy to individuals and society. Number 3, describe possible approaches and strategies that will promote appreciation of philosophy among individuals. So I list down things that they need to do. Read this file, watch a video. Sorry. This is actually a live event. I asked them to attend the event. So there is no class, but you need to attend the event. So they go and attend the event lah. And then write a reflection report summarizing the online webinar, guidelines and rubrics in the next page. Okay, so I also tell them what are the marks that I will give for the task, and then upload or how to submit their work. So I also give a deadline. Okay, and then this is the guidelines. So they follow these questions to look at the video and do the reflection. I berani do this kind of activity because for this module, in the basic definition of philosophy, the students can learn it on their own. But the core concepts of philosophy, for example, the 4 branches of philosophy, like metaphysics, epistemology, axiology, logic, that one has to come from me. So things that they can learn on their own, I let them learn on their own. So always come back to what does it mean to them, reflect on their role as student. So formatting, I tell them what kind of file, what kind of language that I want. I even give an alternative to students. Those who are lazy to do bullet points or document, you can do mind map and submit to me. I also tell them the expectation. For example, to get 10 marks, this is what I want. So I will assess them based on certain score. So if you want 10 marks for this category, this is the standard. And then submission method, deadline. So every week I will tell my students at the start of the class. Wait, can you still see the application? No, cannot see.
No.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so every week at the start of the class, at the start of the, I will tell my students always, on Sunday, go online and download the lesson plan. Then you have a look at it. After you have a look at it, then you understand what we're going to do. So even though online learning can be very messy, can be very confusing, you can help your students to structure their learning. And for me, I structure it based on the template just now. Weekly lesson plan. Let me open the file again. Okay, you should see a Word document. So everything that they have to do, I will list it down to them. So this is the one that you see just now. This is another one. Okay, this is a live classroom. So if you see a 10 live synchronous class, I remind my students, it means that please do not skip this class because I am going to tell you something important in this class. And then I also give them materials to read and things to do afterwards. So students would just follow through. So a very cute student in the first week asked me, Doktor perlu print tak document ni? So I tell this particular student, she turns out to be one of the best students in my class. No need to print. It's your guide, your own guide. Meaning once you have finished, then you know that, okay, this, I can put a check mark already. Means I have finished the task. So I think for the Form 6 students, we can do that too for them, get them to be slightly more in control of their own lesson. Now, I will also give warning. Let's say if I want to do a quiz in class, I will tell them, look, guys, this week quiz, I will do it at the end of the class. This is the platform that I will use to do the quiz. And then pay attention. Scope of the quiz will be then discussed during the live class. So always give the students like advance warning so that they understand what are we doing for that particular week. All right. Okay, this is the instruction for the comics lesson just now. I pick up this funny comic actually. Okay. What? Okay, I will share the file with you guys later. So don't worry, you can have a look at it. So let us go back to the flip activity just now. Okay, so distribute activity to student. I think you can use the what I call it lesson organizer. I actually copyright the thing with IPO. Waiting for it to be endorsed at the moment. Okay, at the start of the session, discuss the activity done. And then it's time for you to deliver your content. And finally, assessment tasks to strengthen understanding, right? So I'm going to stop for a while, brief while, come pass the floor to you guys. Any questions? Yeah, I shouldn't ask that. Anything that of your concern for now?
And I see that nowadays, instead of writing daily lesson plan, we should plan the whole week so that students can catch up because of some restricted during the online lesson or some issues happen during the days. So instead of daily lesson plan, daily objective, we had to plan a weekly objective like that. Is it?
Good idea also. Daily lesson plan a bit mafan lah. Too many things to write. Mine, I either do it weekly, or I do it in 2 weeks. Meaning to say, this week, this is the things that you need to do. The following week, anything that we do will be based on the first week. I did this before when I teach philosophies of education from the West, meaning pragmatism, progressivism, essentialism, social constructivism, and a set of concepts lah. So what I did is in the first week, I asked them to do a survey. It's an actual survey describing, okay, of a set of questions, statements. So if you score very high on a particular on a set of statements, it means that you are a social constructivist. Or if you score a lot in this category, no, if you agree to the statements in this category, that's a better term. Then you are a pragmatist. So get the students to answer the survey. It's a 52 statement survey. Actually, it's a very long statement. So they need like half an hour for those who are very good in English, to 1 hour to for those who are quite slow in the English, to read and answer. So after the deadline, I analyze, then I categorize everyone into groups. So you guys are social constructivists, you guys are essentialists, this is how you behave. So then in classroom, I explain the categories. So, and I give actual examples. Then they either say, yes, I have this kind of statements, or no, I don't agree with this category. I want to go and find another category to belong. So the discussion is even more meaningful because they relate. So I would, it depends, Madam Chu. If you want to do a weekly, also can, 2 week also can, the module itself also can, because you have modules, right? So you can pecahkan the time based on what is needed in the module. Hope that answers the question lah.
Yeah. We plan for a week, and then student knows what they should do in a week, and then we still write our daily lesson plan because this is our arahan.
Yeah, you cannot avoid the rancangan pengajaran harian RPH. So that's that lah. So that's essentially what flipped classroom is and how I do it in the classroom. There's a lot of different methods actually. So again, it comes back to subjects. How do you want to tailor the subject so that it you can flip it. So essentially, flip means the student have to do prior work before coming to your class. And I like flip because I can catch students who are lazy. Some students, they don't read. So for example, there was a lesson where I give live session. Before the live session, I give them a set of an article to read. Ask them to read, and then in the class, I talk about the article, and then I give a quiz at the end. So some students message me in Webex, cikgu, doktor saya tak baca lagi. That's and when I look at the score, and memang betul lah, you score 3 marks because, and then you memang tak baca pun. So that's how I indirectly catch students who didn't do the work. This kind of indirect lesson is actually more impactful than you penalizing the students in front of the class saying, kenapa you tak baca? So hidden curriculum there. Any other questions that you would like to ask? So let me come back. Kalau tak ada soalan, okay. Can we stop for 5 minutes first because there's azan and it's quite loud actually. 5-minute break. Madam Chu, 3 minutes lah. It's not that 5 minutes. Tak lama pun azan. It's just a while only.
It's okay. It's okay. So spend time to write the Bora Malum Balasa.
Sorry for the short brief just now. Okay. Madam Chu, anything else that I need to cover that you think I haven't covered yet?
I think it's a lot more than expected. And then we have one resource worksheet, right? We have a lot
Yeah.
of things to refer back, right?
There's yeah, you can go back and have a look at that particular resource page. Okay. Lesson number 9. I think I'm going to end my session soon. Sorry for exceeding slightly the timing. So lesson number 9 of an online classroom is actually you can bring the world into your classroom. What do I mean by that? Actually, with online classroom, you can bring experts to come into the class and talk. You again, you can be a lazy educator. And wait, let me show an example. For my philosophy session, wait, okay, I found it already. Hold on, yeah. Okay, let me open up the link. Okay, I will give the link. Okay, for this particular class, I'm supposed to teach about teacher professionalism. What is the education system all about? We need to talk about primary, secondary, tertiary education. What does a teacher do in class? If you're a primary school teacher, what do you do? If you're a secondary school teacher, what do you do? If you are an educator teaching in a university or college, what do you do? What are the challenges? How do you find meaning to if you are going to be a teacher in the future? Because these are sarjana muda pendidikan students. So I got lazy to teach this because there's too much to teach. So what I did is I actually bring 3 friends into the classroom. They are my batchmates. Raikel is doing his PhD in UM. Aida is teaching in help coaching. Assistant principal. Rona is in MIRI teaching RIAM, Institute of Technology. So these are very successful people. I get them to talk about the topic. So I give them a set of questions so that they know how to structure their sharing. I give them learning objective. So in this class, this is what I need to make sure my students achieve at the end. That is for the speakers. It's free anyway, and they are happy to share. From the student side, I also give them a task. You guys have to sit through the 2 hours of sharing session, write a report as a class together, only one document. So let me show you the output actually. Very inspired, very interesting. They actually get to finish the work together as a group. Hold on. Okay, found. I will share this one later. So this is what they did together as a class. So they actually summarize the sharing session, and then they also tell me what they do, what do they learn actually. So wait, some of them even went to the extent of writing to these 3 speakers and asking extra questions, and then they actually report it in the report. So that is something that I didn't ask them to do, but they did it anyway. So if students enjoy the learning process, they actually put more effort in. So you don't have to kejar then ask them to do work. So I'll share that that report in a sample of the report in the folder later. At the same time, I will also put in the YouTube link, so you can go and have a listen. This method is actually a bit more appropriate for pengajian and sejarah. Actually, you can go and find some videos or maybe webinars about Perlembagaan Malaysia. Before that, you need to filter through, because some of the webinar might not be suitable. They might be a bit too critical. Remember, our Form 6 students are here to learn about certain concepts. So, kena filter sikit whether it's appropriate or not. And then get them to watch. So if of a 2 hours class, for example, first hour you go and watch this. Second hour, come back to class and then we'll discuss. So that is also a flip classroom, right? So that's all from me. I think I've taken a lot of your time, so thank you for listening. Passing it back to Madam Chu.
Thank you so much, Doria. So how about let's have some response to those who are first come into WebEx. Okay, I saw your response already. You said Basuko, thank God you finally can enter and join. Yeah, maybe I try to challenge you another things. Do you see the response behind there? And then put a big smile if you are certified, and then you clap your hand if you feel like to do it. So this is my big smile. How about you? So let's give some response to Doria, or just open your camera and clap your hand. Wow. Yeah, amazing.
Thank you.
So very good. So
Thank
so
you.
yeah, so I will pass the session to Mr. He now.
Okay, so I will share my screen. So every teacher already take the attendance, right? So your name will be,
Hear you.
hello, can you hear me or not?
Yes, sir.
Boleh.
Oh, okay. So just now I already asked the teacher to key in your attendance link. So I will share the screen now. So can you see it? Can you see the spin now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
So let's start now, okay or not? So I will press for the first time. Okay. Oh, my son.
I think this is something wrong there.
I didn't do anything. Okay, this is my lucky day. Thank you very much. So I remove my name. Continue again. Who is the second lucky person?
Tommy.
Cho Mi Ying.
Thank you.
I remove again. So are you happy with it? Do you need
Yes, very happy.
encore?
Kita main tukar.
Last time. One last time.
One more chance, okay.
Pala. Ikutan Aini oh.
Yes. Sekutan ini. Oh, congratulations.
All right. So we will pass the button to Madam Tin now.
Okay, stop sharing first.
Thank you, Mr. He and Madam Toa.
Terima kasih kepada aktiviti yang menarik ya. So majlis mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih khasnya kepada Dr. Doria atas perkongsian ya tentang teknik PDPR dalam strategi flipped classroom yang begitu padat ya, yang begitu informasi dan menarik ya. So harap teknik-teknik yang diperkenalkan, yang diperjelaskan oleh doktor tadi ya, boleh membantu kita sebagai guru dan diaplikasikan ya dalam pembelajaran dalam PDPR harian kita dan untuk memanfaatkan ya profesion perguruan kita bersama ya. So dengan itu, so terima kasih diucapkan sekali lagi kepada semua untuk hadiri ya bengkel pada petang ini. Ya. So thank you kepada semua ya. Happy Mooncake Festival kepada semua.
Happy Mooncake Festival, everyone. Bye.
Happy Moon Festival. So do you
Yeah.
mind open your camera? The last picture, I'm dragging, right? Yeah, okay. So after there's a lot of input, right? Again, we redeem on our strategy after our STPM. How do we manage our semester 3? How do we flip our classroom? If suddenly we online, suddenly we face to face. So many challenges. So let's do it together and face the challenge. And okay, so take a picture. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Kita semua sebagai pendidik dengan ini diserahkan banknya kepada tutorial. Ya. Terima kasih.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chu, for the start. Now, just to check, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. We have 23 of us in the hall. Hi to everyone. I understand this is